Good morning and welcome to another video on ANZ Travels. Today will be part 3 of my trip where I'm doing 15 flights in just 3 days. Now I am at the Ibis at Brisbane Airport and I'm about to fly to Mount Isa with Regional Express. This flight stops 8 times. It'll be on one aircraft, but it will be 7 times, one aircraft, so 8 different flights. It's going to take 9.25 hours. And I have been wanting to do this for years. So let's go and check it out. And don't forget, if you haven't looked at part 1 or 2, make sure you go back and check them out. Link to part 1 is on the screen now. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and make sure you don't miss any further videos. There'll be at least 4 more parts to this series, so yeah, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any videos. Rex operates 6 of the 7 regulated air routes in Queensland, in partnership with the Queensland Government. This service is the longest of the 7 and is known as the Western 2, linking the communities of Toowoomba, Charleville, Quilpie, Windorah, Birdsville, Bedourie and Boulia with the major centres of Brisbane and Mount Isa. If booked in advance, you can get yourself a seat for this 9-hour and 15-minute adventure for just $299, which at the time of publishing this video is actually significantly cheaper than a direct flight between Brisbane and Mount Isa with one of the major airlines. After checking in and getting through security, we made our way to gate 32 to find our aircraft being ready for departure. We did buy some sandwiches in the terminal as we were told to bring food for this flight, as Rex only offers snacks on this flight, and I do recommend that you do that, even though it turns out in the end we didn't actually have to eat them on the flight. Operating the flight up to Mount Isa today was SAAB 340B Plus VHZLO, delivered new to American Eagle in 1996 and making its way to Rex in August of 2008. This aircraft has 34 seats in an all-economy layout, over 11 rows with a 2-3 configuration. The back row does have a middle seat.
Row 3, you're on the single side. Good morning, how are you?
Today I've elected to sit in seat 3A on the single side of the aircraft.
The jacket over your head and secure the strap around your waist. To tighten, pull the strap. To inflate the life jacket, pull the red toggles. There are 2 mouthpieces for further inflation, a whistle to attract tension, and a light which will operate automatically in the water. Life jackets are not to be inflated until outside the aircraft. Infant and spare adult life jackets are carried on board, which I will distribute if required. A survival kit located in the cargo compartment is also carried on board this flight. In your seat pocket, you will
Takeoff from Brisbane's runway 19 left was 6 minutes before our scheduled departure time at 7:54 AM. Flight time to Toowoomba was very short and the seatbelt sign was left on during this flight. No service was offered. flight through to Toowoomba today was over in a flash, and we landed well ahead of schedule, with probably the smoothest touchdown you'll ever have in a SAAB 340, and most certainly the smoothest of the day. But with a runway as long as this one, that's to be expected. Toowoomba is located just 125 kilometres from Brisbane and has a population of 140,000, making it one of the largest centres serviced on this flight. Rex uses Toowoomba Wellcamp Airport, which was opened in 2014 and is capable of handling large aircraft such as Boeing 747 freighters. The airport was originally named Brisbane West Wellcamp. Wellcamp currently has services from QantasLink and Air North, as well as Rex and a handful of freight operators. Toowoomba was one of the busiest stops on today's flight, with a few people leaving and then most of the seats filling up with new passengers. During the turnaround in Toowoomba, passengers continuing were asked to remain on board. If you look closely as we taxi in, you'll notice there's a couple of Virgin Australia Boeing 777s stored at Wellcamp. These two, along with a few other 777s and some 737s, were stored at Toowoomba, as Alice Springs couldn't handle all the aircraft during the pandemic. These two aircraft still remain at Wellcamp today. As I said, Wellcamp was a very quick turnaround, and we left the bay just 4 minutes after our scheduled arrival time at 8:44 AM, 16 minutes ahead of schedule. The next flight through to Charleville is the longest flight of the day, at 1 hour and 20 minutes flying time. So a quick look around the seat on the Rex SAAB 340. It's made out of leather, it does not recline, the legroom is okay, not the best. I think some of the other SAABs have slightly better legroom. In the seat pocket there's a safety card and the Rex Inflight magazine, which actually had a story about the Western 2 route in it. The tray table is no match for my bus driver gut, and the standard SAAB 340 overhead panel with reading lights and an air vent, as well as a flight attendant call button. I have access to 2 windows, with one looking back over the wing. On all but the first flight today, we were offered a snack service, with plentiful supply of water as well as choices of tea and coffee. We were also offered a choice of these cookie bites or some soy crisps with pretzels. Despite being the longest flight of the day, we were very soon on our descent into Charleville, which has a population of 3,300 people. As you can see, the climate here is quite barren, and in Charleville, all passengers are asked to leave the aircraft, which requires to be refueled here. The terminal at Charleville was quite recently refurbished and looks absolutely fantastic. Charleville Airport is also home to a Royal Flying Doctor Service base. And if you're thinking, geez, that guy lurking around looks familiar, it's probably exactly who you think.
Thank you. Yeah, thank
so
you.
much. Ta.
Keeping with the theme of running early, departure from Charleville is approximately 15 minutes early, as we set course for Quilpie. Charleville was the last place I saw mobile phone reception until arrival on Mount Isa, although my friend with another carrier did get some in Birdsville. Charleville also saw a significant number of passengers leave the flight, with only about 15 people remaining on board. Flight time through to Quilpie was just 32 minutes, and by the time we landed in Quilpie, we were almost half an hour ahead of schedule. Quilpie has a population of just 595 people, and the main driver of the economy is grazing. As you'll hear after landing, it was anticipated that Quilpie would be an incredibly short stop, and for the duration of the turnaround the right-hand engine was left running while some passengers jumped off. No one boarded the flight in Quilpie.
Until the aircraft has come to a complete stop and the captain has switched off the fasten seatbelt sign. All electronic devices, including mobile phones, must remain in flight mode until you reach the terminal and must not be used whilst disembarking the aircraft and crossing the tarmac. Smoking is not permitted in any Australian airport. Please take care when opening overhead lockers, as heavier items may have moved during the flight. Your checked-in baggage will be available from the terminal. For those guests leaving us here in Quilpie, on behalf of your captain, Douglas Francis, and your crew, we would like to thank you for travelling with Rex today. We look forward to your company when next you choose to fly. We ask those guests travelling through to Windorah, Birdsville, Bedourie, Boulia, and Mount Isa to please assist us during this brief turnaround by remaining seated. Please keep the aisles and exits clear at all times. As our turnaround is brief today, the right-hand engine will remain running, and it is important that you follow all crew instructions. The toilet must not be used during the turnaround. Thank you, and we wish you a safe onward journey. Good morning.
After a very short time on the ground, the left-hand engine was started again, and we headed off for the runway for our quick 30-minute flight through to Windorah. We left Quilpie 31 minutes early, and at this point in time, Flight Radar does lose coverage on the flight, so I'm not entirely sure how early we got to Windorah. It was intended in Windorah that we would have a break of approximately 40 minutes to allow the crew to have a rest break. time to Windorah is approximately 30 minutes, and by the time we arrived in Windorah, we were close to 45 minutes early. Windorah is usually the location where the crew have their rest break, and there is facilities in the terminal for passengers to heat up food or buy a pie and sausage roll by leaving the money on top of the fridge. Due to our early running and the fact there were some Rex staff members on board heading to Birdsville, the crew elected to press on to Birdsville for lunch. Windorah has a population of just 115 people, and according to the ever-reliable source of Wikipedia, the name Windorah is thought to be derived from the local indigenous word for big fish. However, some argue it means high stony place. That's a big difference. Due to the intended short stop in Windorah, once again the right-hand engine was left running whilst on the ground. And you'll notice that Windorah is surprisingly green, given all the other locations we visited. As we were meant to stop in Windorah for 40 minutes, and we were about 45 minutes early, by the time we left Windorah, we were still about an hour and 10 minutes early. And flight time through to Birdsville was about 50 minutes, slightly longer than some of the other flights on this service, all of which seemed to be around the 30-minute mark, except for this one and the flight through to Charleville. Pressed on to Birdsville, it was time again for more coffee, more water, and more of those delicious little cookies. As we climbed up to 12,000 feet, we depart the slight greenness of Windorah and just head directly into the desert. Most of the locations around I found you could sort of see where we were going to land, but Birdsville sort of just pops out of nowhere. It really is in the middle of nowhere, and it is absolutely tiny. This is the tiny terminal at Birdsville, which opened in 2011. During our time on the ground, we were allowed to leave our stuff on board the aircraft and go and check out the tiny town. Birdsville has a population of just 140 people and is the gateway to the Simpson Desert. At this point in time, we are closer to Adelaide in South Australia than we are to our starting point in Brisbane. Birdsville has the record for the highest temperature on record in the state of Queensland, having recorded a maximum temperature of 49.5 degrees Celsius on Christmas Eve in 1972. During our time on the ground in Birdsville, we visited the Birdsville pub for a quick lunch, and I really wish I filmed inside it. It was such a cool place to be. So we have landed in Birdsville about an hour and 10 minutes early. We've got a few more flights to go on the SAAB, but we've got about an hour break here. We skipped Windorah. The break at Windorah did an engine running turn there and straight up to Birdsville, or across to Birdsville. Yeah, we're here in Birdsville and there is not a lot here. I love it, it is awesome. So walking around the tiny town of Birdsville, at no point did it really occur to me that I was just walking in the middle of the road. We walked down to the Birdsville Hotel and grabbed a bite to eat. And again, I really wish I filmed inside it. It's such a cool place. If anyone knows what the hats on the roof of the Birdsville Hotel are, please comment down below. Let me know. I would love to know. They all have names on them. I'm trying to figure out whether it's people that have worked there and passed away, or whether it's people that have worked there in general. I'd really love to know. And if you think you know who that is, and you're thinking, nah, it can't be, you're probably right. It probably is who you think it is. Anyway, back to the airport terminal, where our flight was almost ready to board. During the turnaround in Birdsville, the two staff members that had flown up with us to Birdsville were using this time to train some ground staff on some new equipment, which actually did cause us some issues on departure, as the battery pack they were using to attach to the engine, which helps with the engine start, was not actually working. So we had to wait for quite a while with one engine running to build up enough battery power to start the second engine.
Alright, boarding pass for me. Yes, I can. Enjoy, Isa. Thank you. See you later, thank you. Lovely, thank you very much. Hello there.
A few more passengers did join us in Birdsville, and we left Birdsville with about 11 people on board, which is still really, really empty. As you can see, that little bread box under the wing was the problem for us on departure. It did hold us up a little bit, but I believe we still got away pretty early.
Hello, thank you.
Thanks.
3 and you're on the single side. Hi there.
Departure from Birdsville was interesting. I never knew a SAAB could actually do what we did on departure, and the video really does it no justice. The rapid nature of the climb out of Birdsville, the steepness of the turn, and just the way your guts dropped like you're on a roller coaster made it so much fun. As I said, I didn't know a SAAB 340 could do this. Flight time through to Bedourie today was around 25 minutes, and in that time our wonderful flight attendant was out again in the cabin, making us tea and coffee and offering us more of those soy crisp snacks and delicious little cookies. Bedourie has a population of just 122 people, and as a town it has everything you need. It has an aquatic centre, a pub, a museum, a golf course and a visitors centre, and it also has a school which in 2017 had an enrolment of just 8 students.
When next you choose to fly.
After a very quick engine running turn, it was time to set course for Boulia, our final stop of the day before Mount Isa, departing Bedourie 14 minutes ahead of schedule. Time to Boulia was just on 30 minutes, and it was intended that Boulia would be skipped as there was no passengers leaving the flight. However, as luck would have it for me, there was freight to be picked up. Boulia has a population of just 301 people and is home to the mysterious Min Min lights, mysterious shimmering lights which appear during the night. On departure from Boulia, I have let the safety demo play out to give our flight attendant Margot some appreciation, as she had to do that 8 times through the day and did a fantastic job.
continue to be used, these must be held in your hand or placed in your seat pocket. Large electronic devices may be used during the cruise only once the fasten seatbelt sign has been switched off. Your aircraft has 4 clearly marked exits, 2 overwing exits in row 6 and 2 forward exits, the door through which you entered and the exit on the opposite side of the cabin. Look around you for your nearest exit, which may be located behind you. Also identify an alternative exit. If you are asked to leave the aircraft, all carry-on baggage must remain on board. Emergency lighting located in the cabin will help guide you to your nearest exit. The red exit lights, including escape path lighting, can be clearly seen from anywhere in the aircraft. Life jackets are kept under each seat and are not to be inflated until outside the aircraft. Infant and spare adult life jackets are carried on board, which I will distribute if required. A survival kit located in the cargo compartment is also carried on board this flight. In your seat pocket, you will find the cabin safety information card, which shows the brace position and other important information on what to do in the unlikely event of an emergency. Please read it carefully before we take off, and if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. Thank you for your attention and enjoy your flight through to Mount Isa.
So as you would have heard in the safety demo, the aircraft actually carries a survival kit, which is something that interested me, and I went and did a bit of research. Apparently this survival kit contains a survival guidebook, shock blankets, a signal mirror, safety matches, a pocket saw, compass, water, a pocket knife, and what I'm sure are incredibly delicious survival protein bars. Time through to Mount Isa today was again about 30 minutes, and we arrived in Mount Isa about half an hour ahead of schedule at 4:43 p.m. Our scheduled arrival time was 5:15 p.m.
About 10 minutes or so, disembarking about 4:45. Weather in Mount Isa clear skies, minus southerly winds, temperatures currently 30 degrees. On behalf of the crew, I'd like to thank you for flying Rex and look forward to seeing you next time. Cheers.
So having done a QantasLink milk run a few years prior on a Dash 8, by this point in time I thought I would be well and truly over it. However, on arrival in Mount Isa, I felt like I could keep going. Maybe this was due to the fact we got off the aircraft a few times, or the fact the SAAB has a slightly more comfortable seat than the Dash 8, or just the fact that the REX service is absolutely fantastic. However, it was time to get off and go to the hotel, and I was certainly looking forward to a bit of a lay down at this point in time. into the terminal, Mount Isa did seem almost as long as the flight, but we eventually made it all the way from our SAAB 340 to the arrivals carousel, where my bag was put out pretty damn quick. It was now time to switch my phone back on and get the million notifications from the 7 hours or so of no phone reception. Not sure I missed it that much, to be honest. Shortly before we arrived in Mount Isa, the flight attendant did ask us if we wanted to book a cab, and that taxi was waiting for us, and we headed straight to the hotel. The taxi ride into the hotel where we were staying at the Ibis Mount Verona, the only chain hotel, of course the Ibis being an Accor brand, was approximately 23 minutes, and I think the accommodation cost us about $180 for the night. A quick room tour at the Ibis Styles Mount Verona in Mount Isa. Now, this is an older hotel. I don't expect much out of this. It was also very cheap. I assume that will just be milk for coffee. And I haven't spoken much to the camera today. I've been a bit starstruck. This is a view out of our room. Oh, we got a balcony. The balcony out here. Oh, okay. Balcony and shed. A few other rooms. Cool. Yeah, and we're in Mount Isa. So that is part 3 of my video done and dusted. 8 flights today. So we're 10 down, 5 to go, and I can't believe what a day that was. If you're an av geek and you live in Australia, you like flying, I strongly recommend you do this. It was just an insane day. I even got to meet Noel Phillips. If you watch a lot of these videos, I'm sure you know who Noel Phillips is. So yeah, that was really cool. And yeah. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and put the bell on so you don't miss any more of these videos. We'll be back next week, Monday at 5 o'clock with a new video. See you then.